There's a hierarchy that controls the most technologically advanced military force in human history. It determines who fixes fighter jets in 110-degree heat for $30,000 a year and who flies those jets for $200,000 a year. Who works 12-hour shifts maintaining nuclear weapons and who commands from air-conditioned offices. Who enlisted at 18 thinking they'd be a pilot and who commissioned at 22 with a college degree and became one. It's called the rank structure, and the gap between the bottom and the top is so extreme they might as well be different species. In 1947, the Air Force split from the Army and needed a new rank structure. They copied the Army's system almost exactly, enlisted ranks from E1 to E9, officer ranks from O1 to O10. Same insignia, same pay grades, same hierarchy. But here's where it diverged. The Air Force became the most education-focused, technology-dependent branch. The Army needed riflemen. The Air Force needed engineers. That difference shaped everything. In 1991, during Desert Storm, an E-4 senior airman maintained F-15 fighter jets, ensuring they flew combat missions. He made $1,800 a month and worked 16-hour shifts in the desert. The pilot flying that F-15, a captain with the same 6 years of service, made $4,500 a month and got medals for the missions the E-4 made possible. Same war, same aircraft, same contribution to success. But the captain had a college degree and went to flight school. The senior airman enlisted with a high school diploma. A four-star general commands Air Force Space Command with a budget of $22 billion, overseeing satellites, missile defense, and cyber warfare operations that protect the entire nation. He makes $17,000 a month, an E-3 airman first class loading cargo onto transport planes at 2 a.m. makes $2,400 a month. Both wear the same uniform. Both are essential to the mission. But the general's decisions affect millions of people. The E-3's decisions affect whether boxes get loaded in the right order. But here's what should terrify anyone considering joining the Air Force. The rank structure isn't just a ladder. It's a caste system that separates the technical laborers from the educated elite. Enlisted airmen maintain the technology. Officers operate it, and the split happens the day you sign your contract. Choose enlisted, and you'll never fly fighters no matter how talented you are. Choose officer, and you start with more authority and pay than 80% of the enlisted force. Your 18-year-old decision determines your entire 20-year career. This is every rank in the U.S. Air Force explained, what each rank actually means for your life, and why the Air Force has the most rigid education-based hierarchy in the entire military. The two worlds, why enlisted and officer might as well be different branches before we break down individual ranks. You need to understand the fundamental divide in the Air Force, enlisted versus officer. It's not just different jobs, it's different worlds that never intersect as equals. Enlisted airmen are the maintainers. They fix aircraft, load weapons, operate radar systems, manage logistics, handle cybersecurity, and perform every technical task that keeps the Air Force operational. They're essential. The Air Force doesn't function without them, but they're not in charge. They execute orders. They maintain equipment. They work. Officers are the operators and commanders. They fly the aircraft that enlisted airmen maintain. They plan the missions that enlisted airmen support. They command the units that enlisted airmen work in, and they make 50 to 100% more money doing it, simply because they had a college degree at age 22. Here's the brutal reality the recruiter won't tell you. The highest you can ever go is Chief Master Sergeant E9. You'll have 25 years of experience and make $5,900 per month. You'll outrank 98% of enlisted airmen, and you'll still have to salute a 22-year-old second lieutenant fresh out of college who makes $3,600 per month and has been in for 6 months. Because the lieutenant is an officer, and you're not, the divide is absolute and permanent. Enlisted can't become officers without separating, getting a degree, and re-entering through officer training. The Air Force doesn't care that you have 15 years of experience and expert-level technical knowledge. No degree, no commission, permanent enlisted status, permanent lower caste. The Air Force is structured around one principle: education determines authority. College graduates lead. High school graduates follow. The system doesn't care about talent, intelligence, or potential. It cares about that piece of paper you got at 22. Airman Basic E1. Welcome to the bottom. This is your first 6 months in the Air Force. You've completed basic training, and you're starting technical school to learn your job. Your rank insignia is blank, literally nothing on your sleeve. That absence tells everyone you're brand new and know absolutely nothing about the Air Force. What E1 sours actually do: attend technical school, follow every order without question. Learn your specific job: aircraft maintenance, cyber operations, logistics, security forces, whatever you signed up for. Try desperately not to mess up so badly that you get recycled or kicked out. But here's what nobody tells you. Those first 6 months are probationary. The Air Force is watching to see if you can follow instructions, show up on time, and not get arrested on weekends. Most people pass. Some don't. The ones who don't either get held at E1 longer as punishment or get separated entirely. Promotion to E2 is automatic after 6 months if you don't screw up. Some people enter as E2 if they had college credits or JROT experience. But most spend half a year at the absolute bottom, earning minimum wage to prove they're not complete disasters. Airman E2, slightly less worthless. Congratulations. You survived 6 months. You get 1 chevron and $246 more per month. You're still called Airman, just like E1 is Airman Basic. You're still doing entry-level work. You're still following orders. The only difference is you have 6 months of experience, which means you should stop asking stupid questions. What E2 Civ do: work in their specialty under constant supervision. If you're aircraft maintenance, you're learning to perform basic tasks on aircraft. If you're security forces, you're pulling gate guard duty. If you're in logistics, you're moving boxes. You're competent enough to do simple tasks, but not trusted to work independently. The gap between E1 and E2 is functionally meaningless. Both are junior airmen. Both do the same work. Both have zero leadership responsibility. The Air Force keeps you at these ranks just long enough to ensure you've learned the basics before giving you any actual responsibility. Promotion to E3 typically takes 10-12 more months. So you spend your entire first 2 years as a junior airman, which is exactly what the Air Force wants. Time to learn your job before they trust you with anything important. Airman First Class E3. Now you're actually useful. After 18-24 months, you've proven you can do your job without constant supervision. You're promoted to E3, which means you're now a qualified technician in your specialty. You're not an expert, but you're competent. What E3 says: do actual technical work in their field. If you're avionics, you're repairing aircraft electronics. You're loading missiles and bombs. If you're cyber, you're monitoring networks. You still have a supervisor watching you, but you can execute tasks independently without someone holding your hand. But here's where reality hits. You're making $2,385 per month, $28,620 per year, to maintain aircraft worth $150 million or handle weapons systems that could start wars. The responsibility-to-pay ratio is insane. You're trusted with equipment worth more than you'll earn in your entire lifetime, but you're paid barely above minimum wage. E3 SAs also start training E1 SAS and E2 SAS. Not officially, but practically. When brand new airmen arrive at your unit, you show them the ropes. This is the beginning of leadership development. You're responsible for your own work and helping those below you learn. Senior Airman E4. The workhorse rank senior airman is the most common rank in the Air Force. It's where you'll spend years of your career. E4 saying are qualified technicians who perform the bulk of the Air Force's actual work. You're good at your job. You know your systems. You work independently. And you're making just under $32,000 a year. What E4s do? Expert-level technical work. You're the person who actually fixes the aircraft, operates the satellites, manages the networks, or handles the logistics. Senior airmen are the backbone of Air Force operations. Every mission depends on E4 SENs doing their jobs correctly. But here's the cruel reality of E4. Promotion to E5 Staff Sergeant is brutally competitive. You need to score high on promotion tests, get perfect evaluations from supervisors, complete professional development courses, and accumulate promotion points. Only the top 30 to 40% of E4C who test actually get promoted. The rest stay E4 and try again next year. Some airmen stay E4 for 6, 8, even 10 years. They test for Staff Sergeant repeatedly and never make it. They're excellent technicians but can't score high enough to promote, so they remain senior airmen, same rank at year 4 as at year 14. The Air Force doesn't care. They need E4 technicians more than they need E5 leaders. The promotion system is intentionally brutal. Time in service doesn't guarantee promotion. Performance doesn't guarantee promotion. You compete against every other E4 in your career field across the entire Air Force. Top scores promote. Everyone else waits another year and tries again. Staff Sergeant E5. You're a leader now. Whether you want to be, making Staff Sergeant means you're in the top third of your career field. You've been in for 5 NIDAs, 7 years. You've scored high on promotion tests. You've impressed your supervisors. Now you're a non-commissioned officer NCO with leadership responsibility. What E5 says, to lead small teams of airmen. If you're in maintenance, you supervise a crew working on aircraft. You manage daily activities in your section, discipline, and performance of your subordinates. You get blamed. When they succeed, you get credit. But here's what nobody tells you about becoming an NCO. Your job completely changes. As an E4, you did technical work. As an E5, you supervise people doing technical work while drowning in administrative paperwork, performance reports, training records, counseling sessions, equipment accountability. You spend more time on bureaucracy than actual Air Force operations. And you're making $2,881 per month. That's $34,572 per year to be responsible for 5 people's lives, careers, and performance 24/7. Your phone rings at midnight because one of your airmen got arrested. Your weekend is ruined because you're doing administrative work. You work 50 PINTs, 60 hours per week, because leadership never stops and paperwork is infinite. The promotion rate from E5 to E6 is even worse. Only 20 to 25% of eligible staff sergeants make technical sergeant. Most stay E5 until they give up and separate or accept that this is their terminal rank. Technical Sergeant E6, Senior NCO Territory Technical Sergeants are senior NCOs who've proven they can handle leadership over multiple years. You manage 10-15 airmen or serve as assistant flight chiefs. You're responsible for section operations, training programs, and resource management. What E6D? E6D. Everything E5SD, but bigger, larger teams. More complex operations, more administrative burden. You're the link between junior NCOs and senior leadership. Flight chiefs tell you what needs to happen. You make sure your staff sergeants execute it. But here's the reality of E6. You're deep enough into your career that you've invested too much to leave, but not high enough to have real authority. You implement decisions made by people above you. You enforce policies you might disagree with. You're middle management, in the most literal sense, stuck between junior enlisted, who want easier lives, and senior leadership who want higher standards. Making E7 Master Sergeant requires another 4 or 6 years and even more competitive promotion testing. Only 15 to 20% of eligible technical sergeants get promoted. The pyramid is narrowing. Most E6 and never make E7. Master Sergeant E7, Senior Enlisted Leadership. Master Sergeants are senior NCOs with 15 mission 18 years of experience. You've been promoted through multiple competitive boards. You're one of the few who made it this far. You manage flight-level operations, 30-50 airmen, or serve as technical experts advising commanders. What E7 SEF do: lead at the flight level, develop training programs, advise officers on enlisted matters, handle complex personnel issues, serve as the senior enlisted voice in unit decisions. Master sergeants are expected to operate independently. Give them a mission and resources. They'll accomplish it without supervision. But here's the E7 reality. You're making $43,512 per year after 16 years of service. A brand new pilot fresh out of flight school with zero operational experience makes $43,428 per year as a second lieutenant. You have 16 years of experience and expert knowledge. They have a college degree and flight school. You make essentially the same money. The promotion to E8 requires another 6 years and has a selection rate of only 10 to 12%. Most master sergeants never make it, which is an honorable career. But if you want to go higher, the competition becomes absolutely savage. Senior Master Sergeant E8, the senior enlisted elite. Less than 2% of enlisted airmen ever make E8. Senior Master Sergeants are the senior enlisted advisors at squadron level, 100 NOAA's 300 airmen. You've served 22 years. You've been selected through multiple competitive boards. You're one of the few who survived the entire gauntlet. What E8s do: advise commanders on all enlisted matters, manage squadron-level operations, mentor junior NCOs, handle the most complex personnel and operational issues. Senior Master Sergeants are the voice of enlisted airmen to leadership. Commanders rely on them for honest assessments and realistic guidance. But here's the E8 trap. You're incredibly experienced and knowledgeable. You've seen everything. You know how the Air Force really works. But you're still enlisted. You still salute lieutenants and captains with a fraction of your experience. You still make less than officers with half your time in service. Chief Master Sergeant E9, the peak of enlisted life. Chief Master Sergeant is the highest enlisted rank. Less than 1% of airmen ever make it. You've served 24 NIT. You've survived every competitive promotion board. You're the senior enlisted leader for an entire wing, 1,000 midges, 5,000 airmen, or major command. There are different E9 positions: Command Chief Master Sergeant, senior enlisted for a commander; Chief Master Sergeant of the Air Force, single position, highest-ranking enlisted airman in the entire Air Force. These positions carry enormous informal authority. But here's the brutal reality of reaching E9. You spent 25-plus years grinding through the ranks. You made $2,017 per month as an E1. You make $5,714 per month as an E9. That's a 183% increase over 25 years. Meanwhile, a brand new second lieutenant with a college degree starts at $3,619 per month, 79% more than you made after 2 years as an E3. The system rewards education over experience. Always has. Always will. Second Lieutenant 01, fresh out of college, already in charge. This is what being a new Air Force officer looks like. You have a college degree and completed officer training. You might have been a mediocre student who barely passed. Doesn't matter. You're now a commissioned officer with more authority than enlisted airmen who've served for a decade. What 2LTs do: learn. Follow the guidance of senior NCOs who actually know how things work. Execute basic tasks while trying not to embarrass yourself. Most second lieutenants are terrified because they have authority, but no idea how to use it. But here's the key difference from enlisted Promotion to first lieutenant is automatic after 18-24 months. You basically can't fail to make O2 unless you commit a crime. Compare that to enlisted promotion. EINT FAR Cs compete for years to make E5, and half of them never do. Officers get promoted automatically just for showing up. First Lieutenant O2 through Captain O3, learning to be competent, first lieutenants have learned from their mistakes. Captains actually know what they're doing. Promotion from O1 to O2 is automatic. Promotion from O2 to O3 is nearly automatic, 95% plus selection rate after 4 years of service. Here's the pay gap at 6 years of service. An E5 staff sergeant with 6 years makes $2.881 a month. An O3 captain with 6 years makes $5.274 a month. That's 83% more money for the same years of service. The difference: the captain had a college degree at age 22. Captains command flights, 30-50 people, or serve as staff officers. If they're pilots, they're flying combat missions. They're managing significant responsibilities. They're competent professionals who've been in long enough to know their jobs. Major through Colonel, O4 to O6, the field grade officers. Majors typically serve as flight commanders or staff officers. Lieutenant colonels command squadrons, 100-300 people. Colonels command groups or wings, 1,000 miters, 5,000 people, or serve as senior staff officers. Promotion becomes competitive here. Not everyone makes major, fewer make lieutenant colonel. Even fewer make colonel. But if you reach O6, you're making $95,985 per year base pay after 22 years. A Chief Master Sergeant with the same 22 years makes $68,562. The Colonel makes 40% more despite both serving the same amount of time. General Officers O7 to O10, the untouchable elite Brigadier Generals, O7 Command Wings, or Major Staff positions. Major Generals O8 Command Numbered Air Forces. Lieutenant Generals O9 Command Major Commands. Generals O10 command entire commands, Air Combat Command, Air Mobility Command, Space Force, etc. There are only about 300 generals in the Air Force. Out of 325,000 active duty airmen, 0.09% reach general officer rank. A 4-star general makes $203,688 per year. A Chief Master Sergeant with similar years of service makes $68,562. The general makes 3 times more. Why the Air Force structure is more rigid than other branches. The Air Force has the widest gap between enlisted and officer of any military branch. Why? Because the Air Force is built around technology that requires extensive education to operate. Flying aircraft requires college-level physics, engineering knowledge, and complex decision-making. The Air Force decided only college graduates can be pilots. That decision created a rigid divide: operators, officers versus maintainers, enlisted. The Army lets exceptional enlisted soldiers become warrant officer pilots. The Air Force doesn't. If you enlist, you'll never fly fighters. Period. Doesn't matter if you're brilliant. Doesn't matter if you're the best aircraft mechanic in the Air Force. No degree equals sign, no flying. This creates a 2-tier system: educated officers who operate the technology and enlisted technicians who maintain it. Officers with no technical experience command units full of enlisted experts. The PhD in aerospace engineering, who enlisted as an aircraft mechanic, will never outrank the communications major, who commissioned as a logistics officer. The system prioritizes credentials over competence. The Air Force assumes a college degree indicates leadership ability and decision-making capacity. So they give authority to 22-year-old college graduates over 40-year-old technical experts with 2 decades of experience. The brutal truth about Air Force ranks. The rank structure isn't a meritocracy. It's an education-based caste system. Enlisted airmen do the technical work that makes the Air Force function. They maintain $150 million aircraft. They manage satellite networks protecting the nation. Officers operate the systems enlisted airmen maintain. They fly the aircraft enlisted airmen fix. They command the units enlisted airmen work in. They make strategic decisions based on information enlisted airmen provide. They do this for $45,000, $200,000 per year. The split happens at age 18, 222, based on a single factor, college degree. Have one? You're an officer with authority and high pay. Don't have one? You're enlisted and will remain so unless you separate, get a degree, and come back. 97% of enlisted airmen never make it past E6. They hit the wall at technical sergeant and either accept it or leave. The ones who grind to E9 spend 25 years doing it and end up making about the same as a captain with 10 years in. Officers have automatic promotions for the first 4 MIF years, then competitive promotion afterward. But even competitive promotion for officers has 70 to 90% selection rates until you reach colonel. Enlisted promotion rates drop to 20 to 30% at E6 and keep falling. The system is designed to maintain hierarchy, not reward merit. The Air Force needs technical experts at every rank level, so they make promotion competitive enough that most people stay at E4, E5, or E6 forever. They need fewer senior NCOs, so promotion rates drop. They need far fewer chiefs, so it becomes nearly impossible. Meanwhile, officers promoted automatically through captain ensure a steady supply of leadership, regardless of individual competence. The choice that determines everything. When you join the Air Force, you make a choice at 18, 22 years old that determines your entire military career. You'll maintain technology and max out at Chief Master Sergeant if you're in the top 1%. You'll never fly fighters. You'll never command a wing. You'll salute 22-year-old officers your entire career. You need a college degree first. Then you'll operate technology. Command units make $45,000, $200,000 per year, depending on rank, and have the possibility of becoming a general if you're exceptional and lucky. You'll start with more money and authority than most enlisted airmen achieve in their entire careers. The gap is permanent. Once you choose, you're locked into that track unless you separate and start over. That's every rank in the U.S. Air Force explained. Not the recruiting poster version. The real version, where 18-year-old airmen, basic, make $24,000 per year, maintaining aircraft worth $150 million. Where 50-year-old Chief Master Sergeants make $68,000 per year after 25 years of service. Where 22-year-old second lieutenants with 6 months of experience make $43,000 per year and outrank everyone without a college degree. The ranks aren't just titles. They're a permanent class system that determines your income, your authority, and your future based on a decision you made as a teenager. The Air Force doesn't care about your potential. It cares about your credentials. And that distinction defines everything.